We reference Inuyasha a bunch on this channel, but also enjoy the other Rumiko Takahashi classics and feel they deserve the spotlight too. What feels like her second most popular series behind Inuyasha is Ranma 1/2, or Ranma Nibun-no-Ichi, or just Ranma for short. While it has a reputation for being a wacky comedy where people are cursed to turn into other people or animals when doused with cold water and reversed back with hot water, you can't overlook how unique many of its fights are. A big part of Ranma 1/2 is all the crazy fighting styles that you can't see in real life, whether it's hand-to-hand or combines fighting with some non-offensive skill. Generally, the fighting styles are wacky but provide many entertaining episodes or chapters, so we're going to rank our favorites. No real limitations here, it's simply the styles that we find to be the most unique and fun. We will be focusing more on the styles that appeared in the anime, but we'll still talk about the manga when relevant. Also, it wouldn't be a video themed around Rumiko Takahashi's work if my co-host wasn't top-tier Takahashi fan Judgment Meter.
I saw this really cute Ranma and Akane fan art of what if Ranma and Akane were a lovey-dovey couple, and it's adorable but very unrealistic.
Judgment Meter, that's not the intro line we had planned.
That's okay, everyone needs to hear about it because it's adorable.
Now, let's face off the top 10 martial arts styles in Ranma 1/2. Number 10, martial arts dining done by the Sheridan family. We're starting off with a weird one, even for the Ranma 1/2 universe. This style involves eating as much food as you can in a set period of time. While it sounds like your standard Joey Chestnut hot dog eating competition, the most skilled eaters of this style have the ability to stretch their mouths to horrifying lengths. They need to do it so they can eat as much food as possible in the fastest time.
Oh, that was a good one. Creepy, but good. It's very French.
This French style was studied by all the descendants of the Sheridan family, and we had to deal with Picolet in this arc. Despite still learning, he has self-proclaimed absolute mouth control.
Absolute mouth control.
I like how the food that Ranma throws at Picolet when he first meets him does an anime teleport away from his face to show the mysterious nature of his power before revealing the stretchy mouth. You also have to have a cartoonishly long tongue to gather all the food to make this style work.
Picolet kept stealing Rama's food with his tongue. Oh, because they couldn't use their hands. And Rama was slow at eating his food. He was such a jerk.
His teacher would do the same thing too.
Yeah, she's an a-hole too.
As noted, another big part of speed eating is handless combat, since using your hands takes more time than just using a frog-like tongue. So with all of these caveats, how could Ranma possibly survive such a match? Well, we learn of the petite bouche tactic of this style, used by the historical foie gras. Instead of eating the food during the competition, he sneaks the food into the mouth of the competitor since they're too busy to notice, so Ranma employs the same tactic.
Yeah, let's just choke him.
No, it's just because their mouths are so big they wouldn't notice extra food going in. Your tactic would be illegal.
Not if you get away with it.
I guess this would be the weakest style on this list, since it has no utility in a traditional fight. Maybe you could use that large mouth to smother your foe. If they don't pass out from the lack of oxygen first, then it will be because of your bad breath. Number 9, hidden weapons fighting style done by Moose. Moose has some physical combat skills, but the real spectacle of him is whatever gadgets he can pull out of nowhere to win a fight or just sneak around.
Is that really an interesting technique? Because he's just shoving things in his pockets.
No, he's shoving them up his sleeves. I mean, no, it's mysterious dark magic. That's what he says it is, and Moose would never steer us the wrong way. But seriously, there is some tactical skill behind it, since he still has to put the right things up his sleeves. You would think a fight would be easier to win when you bring knives to it all the time, but Moose loses a lot, both in the game of fighting and love.
He's the character who probably most needs a hug.
So does that mean you would give him a hug?
No, I'm kind of like shampoo. No, thank you.
Do you have anything nice to say about Moose?
I like his hair.
My favorite practical item from the sleeves is the claw and chain, since a nice get over here move gives him a second to think while his opponent is tied up. But the most interesting thing about this technique is the TARDIS-like space up his sleeves where he can pull out comedically large items. His Fist of the White Swan attack has a great build-up only to let you down by being a swan-shaped potty he gets from the sleeves. Weird choice, and I don't know how that's effective in battle, but it's a lesser-seen subversion for an anime from the 1980s, so I approve. I also like the various bombs that he has, in both smoke and regular flavor. The giant bomb is probably involved in one of my favorite Moose episodes, since it shows that despite having every weapon imaginable up his sleeves, if you're incompetent enough to strap the bomb to yourself, then I guess it doesn't matter how many infinite weapons you have, you're just gonna end up losing to yourself in the end.
With a bomb!
Number 8. Good old days martial arts done by various characters. Honestly, this feels like a more focused version of Moose's style. This anime-only style uses a bunch of wacky items to fight, but there's a theme to it and no randomized factor. It uses various old-fashioned toys and games to bombard and trap the opponent. They start small with playing cards, but the techniques get more extreme as they're shown off. We're introduced to this style by a group of adults, but the main fighter featured in this style's episode was a little girl named Tamari. Not only did she have skills with her special items, but the names for them were amazing. Her metal tops that explode on impact were called Razor Tops of Hades. Her cat's cradle with the string that can hold you in place like a spider web was called Cat's Cradle Web of Hell. And finally, her ultimate move is where she juggles beanbags, entitled Beanbag Hell, Flower Blizzard Rain and Hail. As intense as that name sounds, it sort of earns it. She uses the beanbags to put her opponent in some sort of hypnotic state as she juggles them, and then she uses them as physical weapons when the opponent is dazed. Also, the beanbags explode on impact. I'm not sure if they're filled with gunpowder or if it's just anime physics. These attacks are helped by the fact that Tamari has this cold stare with her red eyes.
Oh, she's creepy. You know what? She was kind of like Sabrina, but I like Sabrina. So you know what? She's cool.
My favorite parts about the events surrounding this fighting style is Tamari is not antagonistic, but simply being pushed by her grandfather to fight this way, so she's not at fault for any of this. The plot of this episode teaches us a lesson that adults need to accept that modern kids won't always want to pick up what was popular when they were young. Gotta let trends move on. The other major point from this style's episode is that big sister Kasumi of all people helped Akane overcome her struggles against Tamari, although unintentionally. Kasumi just sees Akane looking at beanbags after her loss, and Kasumi was like, "Oh hey, our mom used to juggle, and she sang this song while doing it," and then she juggles and sings the song, and then Akane realizes that Tamari's juggling wasn't powerful on its own, but rather it made her think of their deceased mother, distracting her and leading to a loss. So in the end, we couldn't have won the next fight without Kasumi.
Kasumi is the best martial artist.
Let's not go that far. Kasumi can't fight. She just helped Akane crack the code of why the juggling was so distracting. Sorry everyone, my co-host's favorite character is Kasumi, so she has a bit of a bias.
I love her voice, and I love her hair, and her bow, and her outfit, and her apron, and the way she cooks, and the way she smells, and her beautiful eyes, and the way she talks to Dr. Tofu, and the way she does everything.
How do you know what she smells like?
I just know.
But
I just know.
Number 7, martial arts figure skating done by Mikado and Azusa. This is a couple style, though you don't have to be a romantic couple to do it. Mikado and Azusa basically hate each other when not in the rink, but they know where their skills are. Their main tactic is to rely on one another. The big set of moves for them are the couple cleaver and the break-up merry-go-round. Mikado spins around at a high speed while grabbing Azusa's hands, making them a spinning tower of violence. However, pain is not the main goal of this technique. They use this to force the opposing team to swap partners with them. Azusa gets to a point where she grabs the guy on the other team from below as he's holding the girl, and Mikado lifts Azusa as she has a hold of the both of them. Then he spins at the highest speed he can until they separate the couple, and Mikado makes them forfeit because he's so dashing. His smugness is what makes it so satisfying to see him lose or his plan not work, and then the opposing guy is stuck with Azusa, who is someone you really don't want to be around at all.
Azusa! Azusa! Who doesn't love Azusa? And how much Azusa loves pigs.
She loved literally everything. This character claimed random objects that she saw as her own objects, usually inanimate objects, and gave them all names.
It's like, this is Stephanie, and this is Charlotte, and this is Squiggly Pie, and this is Zeebly Doop, and this is Boppity Bop, and this is Polka Dot, and this is Zipply Doo.
I actually like their solo attacks a bit more. It shows how they could win a normal fight to an extent. Mikado does a pirouette pirouette kick barrage, and Azusa puts on a personal windstorm with a pirouette, adding a mist for a good evasive tactic. They're pretty clever maneuvers. Also, if it counts for anything, Azusa just hits people with random items if she thinks that you have something that's hers, which, as I said earlier, is everything. Genma just wanted to eat.
This is Francesca! Give me Francesca! Don't eat Francesca! I'm adorable! I want what I want now!
Number 6. Cheerleading martial arts done by Mariko. Mariko got an entry on our top 10 cheerleaders list, so it looks like she gets the spotlight once again, which I'm sure she loves. The main goal of cheerleading martial arts is to make sure your team wins through any means necessary, and yes, it's as extreme as it sounds. The cheers are merely a distraction. While cheering, you're supposed to snipe the other team with whatever non-lethal weaponry you have. Usually, it's still batons or pom-poms or other famous cheerleading accessories, just more painful versions of them. Or you can do a normal cheer, but in the way of the match. Still, you can't have the stealth needed for this fighting style if you don't put in the work to make your cheers as exciting and seemingly normal as possible.
1, 2, 3, 4. Who do we appreciate?
It's supposed to be 2, 4, 6, 8 since it rhymes with appreciate.
1, 2, 3, 4. Who do we appreciate? Ramna! Ramna! Yay, Ramna!
You're still doing the wrong count.
Go sports.
Also, Mariko wasn't cheering for Ranma. Ranma was cheering against her and for Kuno, since Ranma had to team up with who he hated the most to beat Mariko at her own game.
You're making this really hard for me.
While Ranma gained a rudimentary understanding of cheerleading martial arts, learning how to catch batons without hurting himself or just fighting the old-fashioned way but as a cheerleader, Mariko is a master of her craft. What makes her fighting style cool is that her weapons turn into parallels for Sun Wukong from Journey to the West, where the baton is a nyoibo, being an extending pole, and her cheerleader underlings turn their pom-poms into a kinto-un, being a magic cloud that she can stand on for elevation, or for my Dragon Ball dub fans out there, power pole and flying nimbus respectively. They're very creative ways to make Mariko more than simply a hand-to-hand fighter with pep in her step. I also like her subversion of mind control, where she takes an unconscious body and then has the other cheerleaders puppeteer it around with the cloud, but she calls it mind control. It's Ranma, we do that here. Really, the pom-pom cloud as a whole is the best part of her moveset and is the true MVP. If you even attempt to fight her when she's on her own cloud, she has home field advantage, as her cheerleader followers holding her up try to drag you down into the abyss. Season 7 of Ranma 1/2 may have been my least favorite of the anime, but Mariko definitely was a highlight of it. Number 5. Anything Goes martial arts done by the Saotome and Tendo families. While the style of the lead characters seems like a good default number 1 for this topic, I feel like being ranked right in the middle of the list suits it better. Anything Goes martial arts is meant to be the jack-of-all-trades style that can adapt to anything. It's very special in that it can keep up with any opposing tactic, but the overall style is meant to be martial arts camouflage, being able to counter any existing style, making it perfect to snuggle up in the middle of this video. Anything Goes isn't the most consistent style. It varies from user to user, living up to the title of Anything Goes, since you can do whatever you want in a fight and it counts as part of the style. It doesn't matter if it's legitimate or cheap. That's why everyone in the Tendo dojo fights differently, though it makes it difficult to identify a universal signature move or action of the style.
Chestnuts roasting over an open fire. That was the thing, right?
Well, it counts as part of the Anything Goes style since it's Ranma's signature move, just being a series of rapid punches, but he learned it from Cologne, who doesn't practice Anything Goes, but it shows how the Anything Goes style can just absorb any techniques it needs in order to win. Most of the other Anything Goes fighters don't really have signature moves. Akane's main fighting tactic is just breaking stuff with her bare hands or using items that she comedically gets out of nowhere.
She even lights her hands on fire. What's that about?
There are two other notable attacks from this style that always come to mind for me. One of them is the Haposai Firebomb, which continues to show that anything really does go. You don't need hand-to-hand. He literally throws a bomb that explodes. And the other attack, which is primarily used by the Saotome practitioners, is the Crouch of the Wild Tiger. This is classic Ranma humor, as the intimidation ends with the name. They literally crouch on their knees and beg for forgiveness. And there you go, that's the attack. If anything anything, this is the signature move of Anything Goes, and it shows that Anything Goes does not worry about sacrificing pride. Still, I think it's a fan favorite attack.
Because Genma did it. No wait, Panda.
Actually, I was just gonna say because it's funny and multiple characters use it. Also, Genma is Panda, you don't have to correct yourself.
Oh, Panda's my favorite. I love him. He's a different character than Genma. He talks with cardboard.
But that's just one of his character traits.
That is his main character trait.
Are you saying one of the masters of Anything Goes martial arts is a one-note character?
No, I love Panda. I love Panda.
Number 4, martial arts takeout done by a couple of characters. This style involves you, the delivery person, getting your takeout ramen delivered without ruining its pristine appearance, so you have to have the skills to protect it by any means necessary. Then there's the bonus of attempting to ruin the other deliveries in the competition, so yours is both the fastest and best of the ordered ramen. The main technique is this quick finger strike, which has precision so it can ruin the food of the other deliveries that you're racing against, while also protecting others from touching your food. It looks cool, it's effective for the competition, so it's a solid technique. The other main attacks involve using what's being delivered. The chopsticks are the main weapon, being great projectiles that are as precise as the fingers. And then they can use those chopsticks to create other weapons, like giant noodle whips, and don't forget the barrage of fish cakes. Of course, when you have a main character participating in a competition involving this style, there's a clear favorite.
Go Shampoo, go! Go Shampoo, go!
Silly judgment meter, Shampoo wasn't in this episode. The main competitor was classic character Kaori Daikoku.
I like her too, but I feel like this is really Shampoo's episode.
That's true, we do support the Cat Cafe here, but Shampoo wasn't even reintroduced at this point in the series. We had to deal with Kaori Daikoku for this episode.
Yeah, but Shampoo does the delivery. That's her thing. That's her bread and butter.
But Shampoo wasn't even here, unless Shampoo was swapped out in the anime.
What?
I'm not really sure why this was done. The events in the anime were switched around so the takeout competition occurred before Shampoo returned from China, but why? Shampoo is a main character, and Kaori was literally just made to show off this style, which belongs to Shampoo anyway, and then never appear again, not even in other filler. They couldn't wait to have this plotline until Shampoo came back. It was within like 5 episodes. The scenes in the anime were well done, but it would have been cool to see another Shampoo fight. No disrespect to her main fighting style, but I do like the takeout martial arts more than her giant weapon fighting style things.
I looked those up. Apparently they have an actual name.
Huh, what are they called?
I don't remember, but they do have a name.
Number 3, rhythmic gymnastics martial arts done by Kodachi Kuno. Kodachi doesn't have an infinite amount of weapons like other characters, but she has enough to make things interesting. All of these, of course, go with rhythmic gymnastics, like her razor hoop, or clubs on top of clubs on top of clubs. But even without those items, all she needs are her trusty ribbons. Besides just being a good weapon to tie up her foe with, she can grab other things and hurl them at people. However, every time she grabs something, she gives it a unique attack name as if it's a planned technique. For example, you have desk grabbing technique, boiling water attack, counter with brother, all capable because the ribbon can reach into the audience and it's counted as a legal move. It's funny and I love it. I don't know what it is about this style, but I think it's so entertaining because Kodachi makes it that way. Like we're introduced to her where she's running across the city at night, leaping on cars, laughing maniacally with the oh, and then people are just looking at her like she's crazy. They acknowledge that this character breaks the suspension of disbelief that all the background characters have who normally accept whatever goes on in this show. Furthermore, Kodachi will do anything to win, adding some sting to her moves. She may do those attacks outside of the ring, making them more dirty than her normal attacks, but I like her spunk. For example, she tries to shake your hand with tacks between her fingers, or she sends you a bouquet of roses that have sleeping powder in them. It's like you have to face the 9 gauntlets of hell just to get a chance to fight her, and then fighting her is tough too. I also like that her aesthetic black rose petals actually stay behind to a point where you have to clean them, breaking the immersion even more.
And for all of you who don't know, she is not despicable.
How would you describe her?
Or just lady who has depth of character and a soul of roses.
But her roses are traps.
The roses before they were poisoned.
Whoa, they just put you to sleep. They don't poison you.
You have to get to know her and peel the layers of the onion that is her outer shell, and then you get to the pure rose that I've been talking about. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Number 2, martial arts cooking done by various characters. I feel like food-based combat will always get a high popularity ranking, no matter what it's up against. There was a reason why fighting foodons had as much success as it did, so it's no surprise that I think the resident chef Ukyo has an interesting fighting style. She has a big spatula, small spatulas, and probably a medium-sized spatula somewhere too. These are her base weapons, and they're viable in any fight due to their sizes and sharpness. The big one is unbreakable, but not unbendable. But the real meat of the martial arts cooking style is how you use your ingredients. Ukyo is a master of cooking the savory pancake okonomiyaki, so her fighting style is based on that food. In fights, her batter is rubber cement, her noodles are rope, and her tempura flakes are explosive.
That's a little concerning. You should not eat that.
It's fine. All this food that she has for fighting is separate from the foods that she has for cooking.
But what if you mix it up?
She's too prepared to ever do that, otherwise she may have some legal troubles.
Here's lawsuit waiting.
Ukyo also knows that if you want to finish your fight with a bang, you have to make your ultimate move a dragon, which is exactly what she does in the anime with a giant dragon made of batter. It burns with the 1,000-degree temperature of a dragon's flame, mostly because it's right off the grill. Finally, she can create home field advantage by turning the arena into a grill, or just setting up a grill as the arena. It's a stage hazard that she can cook on. I'm not sure why the opponent would ever agree to this. Ukyo is definitely the most prolific cooking fighter in the series, but there were 2 more, one in the manga and one in the anime. The manga had Hayato, who fought with takoyaki-based weapons. With it being a food served on a skewer, his giant skewers match Ukyo's giant spatula, and the balls of takoyaki can be great projectiles. He's been Ukyo's rival ever since they were kids, so he's a good overall counter to her fighting style.
Oh, she's little with a big headband, oh my god.
Since the Hayato arc never made it into the anime, Ukyo had a different rival chef in a one-off anime episode, known as Crepe Joe.
Also known as the Crepe King. Occupation, crepe.
While Hayato challenged the type of seafood dish Ukyo prepared, Joe challenged the type of pancake dish Ukyo made, going with sweet crepes over savory okonomiyaki. His smaller weapons are exploding crepes, and his ultimate attack is the golden crepe of death. There's no evidence that if the death in that attack name means it's actually killed anyone in the past, but after it wraps you in its giant crepe coating, it explodes. I guess the real secret to any form of cooking martial arts in the Ranma universe is to have the food explode in the end. Gunpowder is the best spice. For number 1, we chose a style that has unique abilities for offense, defense, and status. Also, it just naturally fell into this spot when ranking despite not belonging to any main characters. Sometimes it just works out that way. Number 1, martial arts calligraphy done by a few characters. This style has a rep that appeared in both the manga and anime, along with a rep that only appeared in the anime, and another rep that only appeared in the manga. The great thing about these characters is they were all different, making this style feel very vast in its move pool. For the character that's in both the manga and anime, we meet an elder master who says he can help Ryoga become the strongest in the world by simply using calligraphy. All the old man has to do is paint a symbol on Ryoga's abdomen, and it will concentrate all the chi in his body to power up his muscles or something like that. This is called Mark of the Battling Gods. The only trade-off, you have to have a stupid looking face painted on your stomach and it never washes off like normal ink.
Look at Pichon, he has a happy face on his tum-tum.
Stop patronizing him, this is a problem.
Tum-tum.
The only way to get it off is by defeating the user in a fight. However, because your chi is so in tune with your body with this painting, your reflexes are godlike, as you naturally and unintentionally block or counter any attack coming your way, making it nearly impossible to get it off. I feel this trade-off could be eliminated if the old man just used ink that was skin tone color, though maybe the black ink is the only ink that makes this mark work. Who knows? The next user was only in the anime, being a guy named Sotatsu. He wields a giant calligraphy brush as a sword, automatically giving this style more points. However, he's also very particular. You can't challenge him unless you write out a formal letter to him with perfect penmanship using a brush and ink. If your strokes are poor, he paints a giant kanji of rejection over you, which seems to be an instant defeat. Now, if you had that stomach symbol that upped your chi and reactionary reflexes when challenging him, then he'd be in for a surprise when he rejects you. The formal competition involves copying words onto giant paper with giant utensils in the fastest time with the neatest handwriting. Of course, it wouldn't be a fight if you didn't try to disrupt your opponent when they were writing, using those giant brushes as any sort of weapon. So Tatsu can change the ink color on demand too, which I think represents a different kind of power, but we don't see the result. Also, he throws paperweights. Sure, fits the theme. Being a one-off character, his power is limited to this one episode, but his only real shown weakness is that he seemed to find animals doing anything funny, and that's literally doing anything. Like he laughs when a cat is just walking across the street being a cat. At least he likes animals.
I love that theme.
This also led to one of my favorite meta jokes in the series, where Sotatsu wanted to challenge whoever wrote the sign for the Anything Goes dojo since the penmanship on it was perfect. It turned out that Panda Genma wrote it with the explanation that he needs to have such neat handwriting since he can only communicate with written signs. The final calligraphy user is Rakyosai, who is a cursed user that turns into a child when doused with cold water, appearing after the other two users in just the manga. His abilities are cool, but he's essentially another Happosai, as in he's an old man pervert. Happosai's brand of comedy in Ranma has never interested me, but at least Rakyosai puts on a show when he fights. My favorite attack that he uses is his spider web of ink, where he uses a sticky ink to trap you, in a fun spiderweb shape. He can also create various types of ink-based smoke bombs using the bristles of his brush, which can temporarily blind the opponent. And finally, his most beautiful technique involves using a special ink that's the 7 colors of the rainbow to create illusionary butterflies that distract the foe. And with that, I think we have a good overview of everything martial arts calligraphy can do. While Ranma is not a series with power rankings on each style, I find it to be one of the coolest styles, cool enough to get top spot on this list. Now, what did you think? Which Ranma fighting styles did you like that we discussed, and which styles did we perhaps leave off? Any styles that you would have given a higher ranking to? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next video.